Henry VIII wanted one thing more than power, more than love, more than God himself: a son, an heir who would secure the Tudor dynasty and silence every whisper of weakness that followed him through court. For years, women failed him. Queens prayed. Bodies broke. Heads rolled. And then, quietly, one woman succeeded. She gave him exactly what he wanted most: a healthy son, strong enough to live, strong enough to threaten the future. Because this is where the story turns cruel. She wasn't dragged to the scaffold. She wasn't publicly humiliated. She wasn't cast aside with a dramatic divorce. Instead, something far colder happened. She was erased. No grand trial. No executioner's blade. No official downfall. Just silence. Her name faded from court gossip. Her presence dissolved from royal favor. Her reward for success was disappearance. Imagine giving a king the one thing he had destroyed lives for, and being punished for it. This is not a story of scandal. It's a story of quiet injustice. Of a woman who did everything right in a world rigged against her. And now the question hangs in the air, calm, unsettling, impossible to ignore. Why would Henry VIII discard the only woman who gave him what he wanted most? Because the answer is darker than ambition, and far more human than history books ever admit. To understand why this happened, you have to understand the system Henry VIII lived inside. This was not a world built on romance. It was built on survival. In Tudor England, power moved through bloodlines, and nothing mattered more than male blood. Queens were not wives in the modern sense. They were political contracts. Marriages were treaties. Bodies were bargaining chips. Love was irrelevant. A queen's value was measured in one brutal way: can she produce a son? Mistresses existed on the opposite end of the spectrum. They were not meant to last. They were tolerated for pleasure, companionship, distraction, but never for legacy. Mistresses were expected to disappear quietly. Their purpose fulfilled the moment the king's attention wandered. And then there were sons, not children. Currents. A living male heir was power in physical form. A son meant continuity, stability, silence for rival claims. For Henry VIII, this obsession ran deeper than vanity. It was fear. He was the second Tudor king, the son of a dynasty born from bloodshed. The Wars of the Roses were not distant history, they were a living memory. He had watched England tear itself apart over disputed succession. He knew what happened when kings died without clear heirs. Chaos, rebellion, execution. Henry didn't just want a son, he feared extinction. Every failed pregnancy echoed like a warning. Every daughter felt like a crack in the foundation. So, when a woman finally succeeded, when she delivered the one thing his queens could not, logic says she should have been rewarded, honored, protected, secured. But logic breaks here. Because Henry wanted a son without consequence. A legacy without obligation. A triumph without elevating the woman who made it possible. And that is the contradiction at the heart of this story. The king craved an heir, but refused to honor the womb that produced him. In a system where women were reduced to function, acknowledging her success would mean acknowledging her power. And Henry VIII was never willing to share power, not with queens, not with wives, and certainly not with a woman who proved she mattered more than he wanted to admit. Before she was ever noticed by a king, Bessie Blount existed in a space designed to be unseen. She was born into minor nobility, respectable but fragile. The kind of family that belonged at court, yet never truly mattered there. Not powerful enough to command attention. Not poor enough to escape danger. She was educated as noble girls were expected to be. She could read. She could write. She knew how to listen. And listening at court was survival. The Tudor court was not a place where women plotted grand destinies. It was a place where they learned when to speak and when not to. Girls were trained early in the unspoken rules. Smile at the right moment. Blow your eyes. Never assume permanence. Never assume safety. Women were not raised to plan futures. They were raised to fit into someone else's. Obedience was not weakness. It was strategy. A wrong word could end a family's fortune. A wrong glance could ruin a reputation. So, Bessie learned what most women at court learned: how to be pleasant without being memorable, how to exist without leaving marks. She was not ambitious in the way history often accuses women of being. She did not arrive at court hunting power or crowns. She wasn't calculating. She wasn't manipulative. There are no letters suggesting grand schemes. No evidence of seduction as strategy. She was simply there, present in the orbit of a king who noticed too much and cared too little about consequences. And that is the quiet danger of Tudor courts. You did not have to chase disaster. Sometimes disaster chose you. Bessie Blount did not step toward power. Power stepped toward her. And once Henry VIII noticed her, silence would no longer protect her, it would only erase her later. To understand what happened next, you have to meet Henry VIII before the myth hardened, before the weight, before the ulcers, before the rage that history remembers. At this moment, Henry was still young, in his late 20s, broad-shouldered, athletic, a man who jousted for sport and danced for pleasure. He was admired, even loved. Courtiers described his confidence, his charm, his ease in a room. He laughed easily. He still believed himself fortunate. And he was still married to Catherine of Aragon, a queen he respected, if not desired. A marriage that had become dutiful rather than passionate, marked by pregnancies that ended in silence. It is here that Bessie Blount enters the story. The affair did not explode into scandal. It was private, controlled, carefully contained within the invisible rules of court life. No public flaunting, no demand for titles, no emotional warfare. This was not Anne Boleyn. There were no ultimatums, no refusal to submit, no hunger for transformation. Bessie did not challenge the system. She survived inside it. She understood her position instinctively. She did not compete with the queen. She did not seek influence. She did not attempt permanence. The relationship existed in shadows, acknowledged only by those who needed to know. And Henry liked it that way, because Bessie required nothing from him. No political disruption, no moral reckoning, no reshaping of his world. She fit neatly into his life, a quiet presence that demanded no sacrifice. At this point, Henry still believed he could have everything: a loyal queen, a discreet mistress, and eventually, a son. What he did not yet understand was how quickly that belief would turn dangerous. Because the moment a woman stops being convenient, the moment she produces something irreplaceable, the system no longer knows what to do with her. And Henry VIII was about to discover that the greatest threat is not rebellion, it is success. In the summer of 1519, something happened that had not happened for years. A boy was born. Not weak, not sickly, not fleeting, healthy, breathing, alive. His name was Henry FitzRoy, literally, son of the king. There was no doubt who his father was. The resemblance was unmistakable. The timing undeniable. The court understood immediately what this meant. Shock rippled through the palace. Because this was more than a child, this was proof. Proof that Henry VIII could father a son. Proof that the failures had not all been his. Proof that the Tudor line was not cursed. Hope followed quickly. Courtiers whispered possibilities. Foreign ambassadors took notes. Eyes shifted toward the infant with new calculation. And beneath the hope, there was fear. Because a living male heir, even an illegitimate one, changes everything. Henry's reaction was swift. He did not hide the boy. He acknowledged him publicly, a stunning move in a world built on appearances. Henry FitzRoy was granted titles, status. He was raised openly, proudly, treated not as a mistake, but as a symbol. The message was clear: the king can produce a son. And yet, listen carefully to what did not happen. There was no elevation for Bessie Blount. No title, no security, no shield against future danger. She was not honored. not thanked, not even publicly recognized. The court celebrated the child and stepped neatly around the woman who bore him. Bessie remained what she had always been, silent, expendable, convenient to forget. Henry had claimed the miracle, but he left its source untouched, unprotected, because acknowledging her would mean admitting something dangerous, that a mistress had succeeded where a queen had failed. And that was a truth too destabilizing for a king obsessed with control. So, the boy was lifted into the light, and the mother was pushed deeper into shadow. The miracle had occurred. But miracles in Tudor England were never meant to reward women. Bessie Blount made the mistake that many women in her position were trained to make. She believed that obedience was safety, that if she followed the rules, if she remained quiet, compliant, invisible, the system would spare her. She did not demand power. She did not ask for influence. She did not threaten the queen's position. She did everything correctly. She accepted her role without complaint. She never overstepped. She never forced Henry's hand. And in another story, those choices might have saved her. But this was not a system that rewarded restraint. It rewarded usefulness. And the moment Bessie succeeded, truly succeeded, her usefulness ended. Because she had done the one thing the system did not know how to handle, she produced a son without challenging power. No rebellion to crush. No ambition to punish. No scandal to silence. Which meant there was no justification to protect her. Her obedience did not make her safe. It made her replaceable. Once Henry had his proof, once he had demonstrated his virility to the world, Bessie became surplus. A reminder of a problem already solved. A complication without leverage. In a brutal irony, had she demanded more, she might have forced negotiation. Had she threatened disorder, she might have secured protection. But she did neither. She trusted the system that had trained her to be quiet. And the system responded the only way it knew how, by moving on. Doing everything right does not save you in a world built to consume success and discard its source. Once Henry had what he needed, his attention began to drift. The proof was secured. The fear was momentarily eased. And with that, Henry's priorities shifted, as they always did. His fixation moved elsewhere, toward a woman who would not accept shadows. And Bullen. With and came a renewed obsession not just with a son, but with legitimacy. A lawful heir. A queen-made boy. A future that could not be questioned. In that vision, there was no place for Bessie Blount. So she was removed. Not violently. Not dramatically. Quietly. A marriage was arranged with calculated speed. A respectable man. A respectable exit. No scandal followed her. No accusations were spoken aloud. She was simply gone. This was how the Tudor court erased women, not with noise, but with paperwork. And then came the cruelest cut of all. Her son, Henry FitzRoy, was taken fully into royal care. Raised among nobles. Educated like a prince. Watched carefully. And completely removed from her life. There was no public farewell. No recorded protest. No surviving letters of grief. History leaves us with silence. But imagine it. Imagine carrying a child in secrecy, delivering him safely, watching him breathe, only to have him claimed by the very man who would never claim you. Bessie did not just lose Henry's favor. She lost her son. And she lost him without the right to mourn publicly. The king had no more use for her body. No more need for her presence. So, she was disposed of efficiently, cleanly, and without apology. The system moved on. And Bessie Blount was never meant to follow. Henry FitzRoy did not fade into obscurity. He rose. He was named Duke of Richmond and Somerset, a title heavy with intention. He was given estates, income, authority. Educated by the best minds in the kingdom. Surrounded by men who treated him not as a mistake, but as a contingency. In court whispers, he became something dangerous. A possible heir. A backup plan. A reminder that Henry VIII could produce sons. The boy was displayed, shown to ambassadors, referenced in letters, held up as living proof of royal virility. And through all of this, his mother was absent. Bessie Blount did not stand beside him. She was not acknowledged, not honored, not even politely remembered. She held no political role, no influence, no recognized legacy. Her name did not appear beside his. Her sacrifice was never recorded. It was as if Henry FitzRoy had been born from the king alone. This was the cruelty. Henry VIII celebrated the result while erasing the source. He claimed the son proudly and pretended the mother never mattered. In a court obsessed with bloodlines, Bessie's blood was conveniently forgotten. She lived on the margins of history, alive yet invisible. And the more Henry elevated the boy, the more thoroughly the woman who made him possible was erased. Because acknowledging her meant acknowledging truth. And truth, when it threatens power, is always the first thing removed. In 1536, Henry FitzRoy died. He was only 17. The boy who had once embodied hope, the living proof of Henry VIII's virility, was gone. There was no rebellion, no accident in battle, just illness. And with him died the king's greatest reassurance. This is the cruel twist at the center of the story. The only healthy son Henry VIII ever produced did not live to inherit anything. The child he had displayed with pride, the son he had groomed as a possibility, gone. And suddenly, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Catherine of Aragon, humiliated, discarded, blamed for failures not entirely her own. And Boleyn, elevated, broken, and executed when she could not produce what Henry demanded. Bessie Blount, successful, compliant, and erased. 3 women, 3 different approaches, and the same ending. Henry VIII stood at the center of it all, still afraid, still haunted by extinction. By the end of his reign, he had exactly what he feared most. One legitimate son, Edward. Sickly, fragile, a child whose health never allowed confidence. The dynasty Henry had brutalized lives for rested on a body that might fail at any moment. And that was Henry's greatest failure. Not the marriages, not the executions, not the cruelty, but the fact that, in destroying everyone around him, he never escaped the fear that drove him. Power did not save him. Control did not save him. And the son he erased the mother for was the one son fate refused to let him keep. As we step back from the drama, it becomes clear that Bessie Blount's story is not about scandal. It's about quiet, unacknowledged success. She did not seek power. She did not rebel. She did not fight for recognition. She survived quietly, obediently, within a system designed to erase her. And yet, in her silence, she accomplished something remarkable. She proved that Henry VIII could father a healthy son. She exposed the lie behind the king's desperate quest for heirs. She revealed, without ambition or complaint, the fragility and obsession at the heart of Tudor power. All the queens, all the executions, all the marriages and annulments, they were part of a king running from a truth a single woman had already delivered. Bessie Blount gave Henry exactly what he wanted: a living son, a continuation of his dynasty, and she did it without asking for a crown, a title, or a legacy. History may have erased her name. The court may have silenced her presence. But the truth remains: she succeeded in a world that rewarded ambition with death, and yet, by simply being herself, she revealed the one truth Henry VIII could never fully control. The irony is exquisite. She was quiet. She was compliant. She was invisible. And in that invisibility, she became unforgettable. Bessie Blount, the woman Henry VIII could never truly own, the mother he could never publicly honor, remains a testament to the power of doing exactly what the world never expects. Nothing at all, and still succeeding. As the story winds down, consider the wider pattern of history. We remember the queens. Their names are written in books. Their trials and triumphs are studied and debated. But what of the women who existed only to prove something? The women who bore children, performed their roles, and vanished quietly when the king no longer needed them? Bessie Blount is one of these quietest victims. She was neither ambitious nor rebellious. She did exactly what was asked of her, and still, history nearly forgot her. Her story reminds us that survival in a cruel system does not always look like victory. Sometimes it looks like being erased, so the machinery of power can continue without acknowledging the cost, so the world can pretend you never existed. And yet, even in erasure, she achieved something profound. The truth she quietly revealed about Henry VIII, about ambition, desire, and the limits of power, lingers long after her name has been forgotten. History may whisper her story, and in listening, we remember not just the kings and queens, but the women who shaped their world, unseen, unsung, and unforgettable in their silence.